Welcome to this latest Introvert Extrovert video with me, Jon Baker, playing the role of an introvert.
And me, Michael Dodd, playing the role of an extrovert.
And we do this to give organisations an idea of how we run sessions, to help organisations better understand the differences between introverts and extroverts, and to improve the communication between them, offering conference and workplace talks and interactive demonstration exercises featuring a real live introvert
and a real live extrovert.
So the result is that people can communicate better to boost their harmony, teamwork and productivity.
Yeah, but Jon, have you ever wondered about what's going on in the brain when extroverts sometimes get annoyed at introverts for seeming to take a long time to actually think about things and to say what they think when they're asked about their opinion?
And I've come to realize that some extroverts can really annoy some introverts by just being too much in their face.
Yeah, it's funny about that. So, I mean, have you ever wondered, like, what's going on inside the brains of introverts and extroverts when those kind of thoughts are happening and those kind of experiences are happening?
Yeah, I've been thinking kind of deeply about that one.
Have you come to any conclusions yet?
Quite a lot, but I'd like to give it a bit more thought.
Right. So, I mean, what if we actually were able to get a brain expert on our session and find out what's going on in the introvert brain and the extrovert brain?
What if we went one step better than that, Michael, and we asked the brain expert, Dr. Lynda Shaw, what she can share with us on the topic?
Well, that'd be great. I mean, Dr. Lynda Shaw, she's got a great brain and her brain knows all about brains. But I mean, do you think it would be really possible to actually get someone as brainy and as in demand as that?
I absolutely think we could. In fact, I believe that if we asked really nicely, neuroscientist and professional speaker, Dr. Lynda Shaw would come and join us right now.
Hello, citizens, extrovert and introvert. How are you?
Hey, it's wonderful to see you, Dr. Lynda Shaw, and thanks ever so much for coming on at almost no notice onto this little session to help enlighten our audiences about introverts and extroverts and their brains.
Thank you for inviting me, guys. What can I do for you?
So, yeah, Jon, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say, Lynda, can you tell us whether the differences between introverts and extroverts are more to do with how their brains were when they were born, or more to do with the environment that they've grown up in?
Yeah, there's a study by Olson Laney who has actually developed on other people's studies as well, as always, and their paper came out in 2006. And they did notice that with babies, they definitely showed personality traits of being an introvert or an extrovert. So their conclusion was that indeed these traits can be hereditary, but we mustn't underestimate the effect of other influences of the brain. So for instance, we do know that we've got a genetic and DNA influences from bottom-up processing that influences how the brain is wired and it behaves. But also we have got the top-down influence, like our thoughts and our beliefs and so on. And equally, we've got the external environment going on and our social upbringing. All of this influences the brain. So there is apparently a hereditary component, but equally, we've got all of these other things going on as well to influence us.
So as Jon and I are absorbing your wisdom and knowledge about the brain right now, Lynda, are our brains as an introvert and extrovert actually functioning in some way that's different?
Yes, there is. There is something called the dopamine hypothesis. Now, dopamine is all about reward, motivation, anticipation of reward. It does lots of other things as well, but for our purposes, that's what it does. And it's not different. Secretions aren't different in an extrovert and introvert brain. But what you find is that the extrovert brain tends to have more of an efficient system, a dopamine network system. So therefore, people and extroverts seek external influences, external stimuli to give them that dopamine fix, and that stimulation is very rewarding to them. But for an introvert, that is that overstimulation, and it's too difficult. But there's another chemical that introverts prefer, and that's acetylcholine. Now, acetylcholine actually comes from deriving pleasure when we seek internal stimuli, when we are thinking deeply, when we are contemplating things. And acetylcholine is very much associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system, where this is where an introvert is feeling much more comfortable. On the other hand, an extrovert is more comfortable with the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, or freeze. So it's all about the heart rate racing, digestive system slows down. It's all about looking for, blood pressure goes up, it's looking for that stimulation. So there are quite a few differences going on, but we can't actually put too much store by it because everybody is different, and that's a good thing.
So you provided plenty of stimulation for me there, Lynda. So what do you make of the Journal of Neuroscience, which published something suggesting that the brains of introverts actually had more grey matter at the front part of the brain? And does that suggest that introverts are in some ways smarter than extroverts? Surely not.
I'm going to upset Jon now. Basically, there is research that shows there's more activation in the frontal lobes for people who are introverts, whereas extroverts is different areas of the brain as well. But in terms of intelligence, it doesn't mean anybody is more intelligent. An introvert will think deeper, as we talked about the acetylcholine idea. But yes, there are certain anatomical differences. But again, remember that those differences are worth having in an organization.
So, I mean, could an introvert decide in a certain situation, I need to be more extroverted? And could an extrovert decide, well, in this particular case, I've been too much in people's face, I need to be more subdued in this environment? I mean, can they make their brains work along different lines like that?
Yes, they can. Professor Brian Little wrote about this in 2008. He coined the term free trait theory. I've written it down to remind me of how he said it. Free trait theory means that an extrovert can be more introvert and an introvert can be more extrovert if they really want to. If they are working on a project that they're really interested in, they love doing, they can certainly adopt different traits, but don't underestimate how exhausting that is for that person. It is very tiring. So, but therefore, yes, we can be one or the other, but it does depend on how much we want to do it. And we must remember that we'll need to rest afterwards.
I'm exhausted just thinking about it. What do you make of it, Jon?
I think that explains a whole lot. But Lynda, have you noticed how differences in style and communication approaches can be modified so that introverts and extroverts could work better together?
Yeah, it's a very hot topic, neurodiversity at the moment, and so it should be, because there are lots of different ways that people think. The curveballs come. We think in psychology and neuroscience, we think to ourselves, oh my goodness, we've got a hand on that person now. Yep, understand them. And then woof, a curveball comes along and they do something completely different. You go, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. That's the deliciousness of being a human being. That is what makes it absolutely magnificent. So therefore, when you think about those differences, we must welcome them because everybody's different. Neurodiversity is helping organizations enormously to realize that, but it's early days. So what we need to do is to understand how an introvert communicates, how an extrovert communicates. For instance, an introvert will maybe think more carefully before they speak. And they will maybe slower, whereas an extrovert's going, oh, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point, and looking at the Adam's apple, glazing over, come on. So we need to understand that, yes, somebody is going to be firing 19 to the dozen, whilst the other person is going to be slower, but to take time and take a breath and show compassion to one another, because we must understand that each person is bringing something of value to the organization, and that is what's worth having. The trick is for the organization to work out where best to put that person so that they shine.
Mm. So what if people wanted to hear more about this in their company, Lynda, and have you come and speak to them about these amazing differences and ways of working?
Yeah, well, I'm Lynda at drlyndashaw.com. That's my email address, Lynda with a Y, or drlyndashaw.com is my website. And you can get me on 07967 271 274. I would love to hear from you. I talk about neuroscience, but always in a practical context with the organization and the goals they have in mind. So would love to know. If you want to know more, call me.
That's great. Being a careful, methodical introvert, Jon has managed to get those numbers and the spelling of your name correct, which is great. So, Jon, perhaps you could tell us, perhaps tell those listening, if they wanted to have, a live demonstration of an introvert and an extrovert and interactive exercises for their people to get them to work more harmoniously, as Lynda suggests they could. What should they do?
Absolutely right, Michael. You and I would love to work with people, and the easiest thing to do is get hold of us. Our phone numbers are on the screen behind me as we talk, and they will also be in the notes that accompany this video.
Wow, notes accompanying. That's a
an
new one. That's
introvert thing for you.
That's brilliant. Yeah, well, I've been extremely well stimulated by Dr. Lynda Shaw and her brain, as I always are when I listen to her. So I think it's time to say a massive thank you to Lynda. And we've got to say goodbye, but we're ever so grateful for getting your thoughts on the session.
Thank you very much. It's delightful speaking to you both. You take care.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lynda. And it's a goodbye from me.
Yeah, and it's a goodbye from him.